Welcome back now. If you're just joining us, you're still on to the press, reaching you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN TV. Right about now, we've been joined by a guest with whom we're going to be doing analysis of some of the headlines we have read to you. His name is Ambassador Timothy Nwachukwu, and he is the country director of the African Ambassadors Network Forum. You're welcome to the press.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here today.
Likewise.
How has it been? It's been a couple of days of ups and downs in Nigeria. They feel scarcity, which is obviously subsiding to some extent now. But more importantly, the Naira redesign, and which has led to a lot of difficulty for most Nigerians in going about their daily activities. I just want to get your brief overview about the whole situation before we go deeper into the conversation.
All right, so behind every economic policy, there is a political undertone. The political undertone behind the new Naira design and the mopping up of currency is because Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari has been a victim of money politics in Nigeria. You know that in Nigeria, if you're a good man with good antecedents, but if you don't have money, you may never win election in Nigeria. So Mr. President ran for election in 2003, 2007, 2011, before he eventually won in 2015. So all those periods, he didn't have money to prosecute the election, and he saw how he lost. So now, he promised that he's going to leave a legacy of free, credible, and transparent election. And one of the ways to achieve that is to do away with vote buying. And of course, we know that there is poverty in the land. We know that there is so many challenges, and that it is easier for politicians to buy the conscience of the electorate with money. So that is exactly what Mr. President is trying to do. He's trying to make it that the cash will not be available to the politicians, but rather it will be available to the citizens, or there will be minimal cash and to the building up of the election. So that if candidate A is credible, competent, has the capacity to govern Nigeria, but he does not have money to engage in vote buying across the 774 local governments, so the Nigerians will be able to vote for him. Whereas if candidate B is a crook, a drug baron, a corrupt person, have criminal cases here and there, and then does not even have the goodwill and integrity to represent Nigeria, but already has a presidential ticket of his party, and with the money on his side, we know he'll be able to buy all the votes in the country.
Okay, sorry to cut you short. I just need to throw this question. You talked about President Muhammadu Buhari bringing up this policy in an attempt because he has suffered money politics.
Exactly.
And I want to believe that it's still in this same Nigeria that we saw bullion van missing its way into the house of a prominent Nigerian politician that led to the re-election of the same President Muhammadu Buhari. That's one side. And on the other side, you talked about the fact that if this policy is tailored towards candidates who are credible, who are honest, to be able to have a chance at winning the election. But then, what do you say about the candidates that emerged, that their primary elections, they emerged fraudulently? Because we all know that not all the candidates emerged through free, fair, and credible process. And if a candidate that emerged from the primaries fraudulently, we cannot actually classify that person as a credible candidate anymore. What would you say about that?
I wonder what you mean by fraudulently. I think if you had said the candidate who bought his way through, that would be understandable, because if you say a candidate who emerged through fraudulently, you have to go to the court to prove that such a candidate emerged through a fraudulent process. But if you say that in the build up to the primary there were dollarization of a political process, you know, we saw party A and B, the major political parties in the country, the two major, they were exchanging dollars, you know, trying to move voters with dollars, and that is why some candidates, some credible candidates lost out. You see, so that is exactly what Mr. President, yes, in 2019 there was the issue of bullion van entering a particular politician's house. Yes, of course, Mr. President was in Abuja. He couldn't have ordered or he couldn't have asked the politician to bring in bullion van to his house. But even though he may have benefited from the process, but he said he is giving Nigerians his word. He went to United Nations General Assembly and he said he is going to leave a legacy of free, credible, and competent election. So all those mistakes and anomalies is what he hopes to correct. However, the problem we don't have is that we have more criminals. I repeat, we have more criminals as our bank managers. We have more wicked people as our bank managers. If you look at the news during the weekend, you will see, even in Ekiti State, in some states in the country, you will see some wicked bank managers who will go to POS and put in money that is wrapped, making it enable for POS to disperse. They are the same people that will take this money to a politician. Remember what Nasir El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, said? He said there was a particular governor who assessed 500 million naira of the new currency. It is just business. So those bank managers, remember, there are some bank managers that on their board, they have politicians on their board. There are some bank managers, even bank owners whose brothers or relations are running for election in Nigeria. And you don't expect for a bank owner or bank manager whose brother is running for election, you don't expect his brother to be cash crunch during this election. No, he's going to bring the cash and give to them. So at the end of the day, even though Mr. President have a good intention for Nigerians, but we have people who are sabotaging this process. We have people who are sabotaging this effort, and they are the banking system. They are the same people who are benefiting from the irregularities that is happening in the country. Okay, I'm going to ask you, because you talked about what Governor El-Rufai said, and then I'm sure you also listened to what Governor Wike said, saying that if President Muhammadu Buhari thinks that he's going to use this to stop politicians, he's a politician and he has already stepped, whatever amount of cash he needs, he will definitely get. So it means that it is the people that are suffering this. So are you actually saying that President Muhammadu Buhari is a victim of the policy that is being set up by his government in his party? Is that what you're saying? Well, the main victims of the policies are the common man, the ordinary person, because you can't even say the president too. I don't think he needs any cash for anything for now, but he has access to money, you know. But then he is not the victim. The overall victim are the ordinary citizens. Because he makes
understand what the policy is, right?
Yes,
but then he knows about the policy. Yes. So you say that he's a victim of it?
Sure.
It's a policy. He approved the policy.
Yes, he approved the policy. As I said, he have good intention, but there are people whose efforts is to sabotage the plan, the goodwill, the good plans and policies and programs of the government.
So the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces set up a policy, approved the policy, and then some bankers are stopping the policy. Is that what you're saying?
And it brings to
exactly. And it's a public knowledge
question: is it enough to just have good intentions without the grit, without the guts to follow it to the latter?
My dear, only one person is a president. He cannot be everywhere at the same time. If we have more honest people, more good people in various positions of authority, things will be better. But we now discover that even while the policy is going on, even in central bank, there are people within the CBN who are working to sabotage. I've said this thing before in various television stations, that in Nigeria, the moment someone wins an election to become a president or a governor, there are people whose job is to begin to devise means for you to fail from day one. Because they are benefiting from the irregularities, because they are benefiting from when things are not moving on fine. So to answer your question, having political will is not enough. Sanctioning all the banks is not enough. Remember, if Mr. President gives the directive to the CBN and said, any bank branch that is not disbursing the new naira note, close them up. Yes, you know, they want to close it up, but what happens to ordinary citizens who live in those localities who want to access money? It will still affect them, and before you know it, we are going to have a state of chaos crisis in this country. So Mr. President has good intention for Nigerians, but I can tell you, just like Wike said that Mr. President is not a politician, it is the politicians who themselves have devising means in collaboration with bank executives to ensure that everybody.
Did you ask Mr. President he's not a politician?
Mr. President is not a politician. If he's not a politician, he's not a regular Nigerian politician. You know, when we say that someone is a politician in Nigeria, you know what it means. A former military president was called Maradona because he knows how to dribble and get what he knows. We have people who understand politics. Mr. President thinks that because he's a good man, he's an honest man, that everybody should be honest, everybody should be crooks. Mr. President has said it over and over. As soon as he leaves power, he's going back to his Katsina house. He has not built any other new house. He has been living in the same house. He still have his cows. He's content with what he has. But the way he's thinking, his mindset is not the same thing with the mindset of the reality of Nigerian politicians who have benefited from this democracy. Many of them, President Buhari does not have houses in London, in UK, in America. But there are people, even around within his cabinet and around Nigeria, politicians, who before they enter into politics do not even have money.
Do you have evidence to that?
Of course, the evidence is very clear. For example, his houses were confiscated.
You didn't know that before that happened. Nobody knew that he has all.
Nobody knew. In 1999, when he entered politics, he does not have that. He doesn't have it.
But then, it really beats my imagination right now that just after the implementation of the Naira redesign policy, most members of the opposition parties whom are looking forward to snatching the seat of power are suddenly saying the president, are singing the praises of President Muhammadu Buhari as a good man and a man with integrity. It really beats my imagination. And I think moving on to other stories.
I still have something on that story, because you have on the Punch, he says Buhari under pressure to end fuel scarcity and Naira disasters. Then governors in talks with President Emefiele as reps mold emergency session. President must intervene because crisis is affecting turnout at rallies. That's coming from senators and then the reps. Now, is this all of this problem? Are they actually fighting because it is affecting their rallies and their campaigns? Is that the reason why they decided to go visit the president and now they are asking him to intervene? And the president said he's going to give Nigerians should give him 7 days to end all of this. And some people are asking, isn't 7 days even too much? Because you can actually stay from where you are and then make the orders and things will begin to happen. That's one on the side. And then on some other stories, I think it was in Guardian newspaper where I can't actually put my hand in. Okay, it's on Daily Sun. Says Naira redesign senseless. That's coming from Comrade Adams Oshomole of the same party. So when they say when the house is divided against itself, how will it even stand? Is it kingdom against kingdom right now?
You see, it is the selfish politicians against the citizens. At this point in time, Mr. President chooses to stay on the side of the citizens, and the number of Nigerian politicians don't want that. Let me tell you, the Nigerian public, every time you see a politician crying, shouting against a government policy, it's not because he's shouting at the interests of the citizens. He's making noise because of his own interests. Remember that the presidential candidates of the ruling party said that the policy is targeted at him. This is very simple and common sense. Why will you engage in vote buying? You know that there are poor women in the rural areas who maybe on the election day you bring 10,000 naira and give to them and confuse them to vote for this party. Why will you, if you think you are credible? One of the presidential candidates says he doesn't give shishi. Why can't other presidential candidates stand by that and say, no, we are not going to play money politics. The citizens should vote for us because we are credible. The point is this: all these politicians, the governors, the National Assembly members who are going to Mr. President pressurizing him, you must do something, you must do something. Even the DSS trying to go after Emefiele is because they know some of them have performed poorly in their various states and they want to impose candidates, some of who are against the will of the people, and they need those cash to buy vote from the gullible voters. That is why they are crying, not because they have the interests of the people at hand. If they truly have the interests of the people at hand, do you know what the governors would have done? Do you know what the senators would have done? They would have invested in POS and make it available to all all their representatives, make it available to the women in rural area. Since they want to do good for the Nigerian people, they should not train people, emergency, train people and instruct them, go to villages, teach these women how to use POS. We don't want our people to suffer. Let us have a cashless policy so that if money is flying, we'll be able to trace it. But you see, they are not after that, they are rather after their own personal interests.
Governor Wike says he already have money to run his campaigns, so it is only targeted at the people. Do you agree?
He's a governor of a state, and all you rich state for that matter. For him to come out publicly to say that, of course, I have no reason to disagree with him, except if I have a contrary fact on ground. So he said he had money. And I tell you, just like Erifai said, most of all these governors have money. Kwankwaso said that no bank executive will deny any politician money because they will make more money.
They'll make more money.
Selling it to the politicians.
All right, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. We need you to be audible, please.
All
right, Collins from Otupo Village. Thank you for calling us. Go ahead. You have 60 seconds.
Yeah, like the analyst was saying, you know, if you happen to see most of these politicians that are crying, complaining here and there, it's because they have not done anything, just like that analyst was saying. Now, if you look at the candidate of the Labour Party now, whether we are like, say something, you see, he doesn't have money. If you know you are principal and you have people who was happy for people, you don't need to cry for money. The moment you are passing by in your location, in your area, in your state, you see how these people will be following you, looking up to you, because it's not because they want to get money from you, but because of the impact you made into their lives. If you come to my state now, even the PDP cannot even go around to campaign. Yes, we know they are in power now presently as a PDP. But because there is nothing that is done, you know, it's a civil servant state. Just like we have seen, nobody is paid, no pipe water since 2014, 2015 they came into power. Nothing like pipe water, nothing like infrastructure, nothing like so. All those, if you didn't do anything, you need to cry to get this money in order to sort out things.
All right.
Thank God because the money was not there now. It's for I collected 3,000 at the rate of 600 naira yesterday for the So tell me.
All right. Thank you so much, Collins. We have to let you go. Thank you so much for your contribution. It is what it is, like they say.
It is, really.
You see, these are ordinary Nigerians who are happy with the politics, with the policy of the president. Just as I rightly stated, if the governors, if the senators, if they have performed creditably well, they don't even need to cry that there is no money. They will know all they need to do is to train the citizens for them to have access to POS. They are looking for money to engage in vote buying. And I said it before, in 2023, money politics will fail them. The citizens are more enlightened. You cannot fool the people all the time. I am so happy about the news I read in Delta State. A particular House of Representative member went to a community to campaign. Do you know what happened? When you go to that community, the youth of the community barricaded that community in Delta State and said, Honorable, you cannot come in here to campaign. For 4 years you have been in the National Assembly, you have not been in touch with us. You don't even know how we are suffering, and this election that you want to come, such an honorable member will be relying on money to give money to people. I tell politicians, come 2020, this February election and March election, if you give money to the citizens, they will collect your money and they will vote the candidates of their choice. May I once again appreciate Mr. President and appeal to Mr. President and CB Governor, they must be firm.
Ambassador Timothy, still talking about the Naira redesign policy, it has generated a lot of reaction, and the presidential flag bearer of the Labour Party, he said Naira redesign will bring economic and social benefits to Nigerians. First of all, I believe you said you described the move as a political move, and whatever move any government is making, either political or otherwise, I think one of the primary objectives should be making life easy for Nigerians. And if it does not make life easy for Nigerians, I don't think the policy is worth it in the first place. And in reaction to what Peter Obi has said, the presidential flag bearer of the SDP, he replied and said, "You are wrong," as he slams the stance of the Labour Party, because he said a Naira redesign should not be this chaotic. And let's try to dissect the submissions from these two aspirants. Should Naira redesign be this chaotic in a country as social as Nigeria?
I've said it here. Mr. President, the CBN have good intention, but the problem we have is the sabotage from the banking sector. I've said it that the governor of Central Bank has made it clearly that trillions of naira has been released to the bank.
All right.
And we can see it.
Please hold yourself. Let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Very well, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling from Adamawa local government.
All right, go ahead.
I'm very grateful for hearing what the people are performing on the KAFTAN.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
But my question is that those people that they are spending their money, they are already have money in their pocket. So most now we are the students. We have learned to learn more about how our country will move forward. But now we are going to with our head. But up to now, there's no money. There's no food. There's people that somebody that are placed now. We are taking with them. We are from the place of the Republic of Nigeria. And we wish that's what we are. The only problem is to pray to God. To still don't need that.
All right. All right, thank you so much for that contribution. We have to let you go. You have just 1 minute to everyone. Go ahead. Hello, good morning. Good morning, are you there? Good morning. Are you there? Good morning.
Okay, let me say this. How many business? Okay, I want Nigerians public, the Nigerian public, the listening public to listen to me attentively. The President Buhari and the CBN governor is not a problem. Your problem is that bank branch manager that is close to you. In all sincerity, in all fairness, why am I saying this? From the available facts on ground, we've seen ICPC, we've seen AFCC, we've seen police people going to different branches of bank, seeing that these bankers, they have money. But they have refused to put this money in the POS. Now the CBN has said start paying over the counter. They will not do it. They are united to frustrate the effort of the Mr. President. Nigerian public must know that this policy is done for our good. We are suffering now for us to be able to enjoy later. But it still breaks my heart that just as people like the Weekend said, they've already mop up money enough because of the collaboration between the state executive and the banking sector. How many businessmen have you seen, people like Dangote, and so many of them, apart from them, how many businessmen have you seen complaining? You have POS, you have your app, you can actually make payment through transfer, and nobody is complaining. So why is it that it is the politicians themselves who need money to engage in vote buying? I wish the Nigerians will see the bigger picture. I wish the Nigerians will see that this policy is actually meant for the masses. That we can only suffer a little time. Few days, we are going to have a presidential election, so that we'll be able to vote without being induced by politicians. Remember, just as you rightly stated, you talked about primary election that were mad. There were impositions of candidates in various political parties. Remember, there are some parties that in some states that once you have their ticket, it is believed that you have won already. Some of the candidates who emerged through those fraudulent processes are not.
Are you calling it fraudulent now?
I said fraudulent processes. The process that brought them is fraudulent, not themselves. Now, these candidates, most of them are not popular. Most of them do not reflect the will of the people. Now, people like them, the politicians, their godfathers will rely on the money to bring them into power. And I tell you that this cashless policy is what will save Nigerians. We must see the big picture.
All right, before we leave the story, Daily Sun says anxiety in APC over Tinubu's Cold War with Buhari. And then on the flip side, you have on the Punch newspaper, it says, okay, I can't actually find that story anymore, but I think I saw somewhere where with all of these talks that you have, and then some people are saying that even some of the APC governors, they're not even in support of the presidential candidate of the party. So what exactly what are your response to this? How, from where you stand or sit, what is your present read of this 2023 elections? Before you take that, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Okay, he's not ready. Let's take the next one. Hello, good morning. Good morning, sir. We need you to be audible. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good morning, Rahim from Abuja.
Okay, Ibrahim from Abuja. Rahim from Abuja. Oh, great. All right, go ahead, Rahim.
Thank you. Good morning to you and your guests. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. I want to commend your guests. To some extent, they have spoken the mind of Nigeria, I believe. But what I want to say, I'll start from here. Like you made the introduction, the host made the introduction saying that other challenges seem to have subsided, like the issue of debt scarcity and all that. Just to correct you, nothing subsides. It's just that the Naira scarcity has taken over from other challenges. Really, nothing has subsided. And then the issue of the CBN, I think both CBN and the President were completely in this issue. Why do I say so? They brought this policy, they made the design, they give rules to commercial banks. If any of them are defiling those policies or decisions, why have they not punished any commercial bank?
Okay.
Because if you give them some cash and you are not seeing the trace of this cash in the society, they should be punished. They should be named. There should be better pay from the CBN to prove that we gave so amount to so bank. But we discovered that this bond was given to 5 or 10 people instead of targeting maybe 1,000 customers. So how come nobody has been punished, no bank has been named, everybody is just working in secrecy? I also think that the EFCC and ICT, including other anti-corruption agencies, are not doing their work. Because they also have access to information. They should be able to tell Nigerians or actually 2 or 3 people to make sample to the public.
All right. Thank you so much, Rahim, for that contribution. Okay. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Annabelle.
Good morning, sir. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yes, my name is Andres. I'm calling from Bauchi.
Great. How is Bauchi today?
No, Bauchi. Bauchi. Okay.
All right. In less than 60 seconds, tell us your contribution.
What I want to say is that the policy, this policy is very bad. Very, very bad. It's just that you have money in your account and you cannot withdraw it for business, which is very, very bad. Sometimes if you want to transfer, the network is bad. Sometimes somebody transfers money to you,
you don't get alert.
It will not land. It will land the next day. And you wanted to use that money for that day for business. It's just like my wife now runs a provision store. Somebody wanted to transfer 7,000 naira to her. If the money is being transferred to her, she will want to go and withdraw the money from bank or ATM or POS. Going to POS to withdraw the money 7,000 naira automatically, her girl will go there. Even part of the capital wants to go to POS. So to me, that policy is very, very bad.
All right. Thank you so much.
A farmer brought 5 million naira to SMB Bank. The next day, he wanted to use the money for business. He went there. They told him this at the ATM, I shall only withdraw 20,000 naira. Then they at the counter, they can only withdraw 100,000 naira. The man said, okay, you see, that's why they do do with the bank. If he has his cash, he will support his business. Now his money is stuck there in the bank. He cannot run the business again. So automatically to me, that policy is very bad.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Very well taken. All right, go ahead, please.
Let me just comment on what they said, and then I will react to the issue, the cold war between Mr. President and the presidential candidates of the APC. Yeah, I understand the feeling of my brother who called from Bauchi State, and that brings to the question. Most times you see when bankers are looking for customers, the commercial bank, they go to villages, they bombard. Since this policy started, how many bank officials?
They don't even have the mind to come and tell people.
No, I'm coming. How many persons have called you to come and open bank accounts?
That's what I'm saying. They don't even have the mind to.
Since this policy started, do they still reach out again? We used to see bankers going around, their marketers going around the street looking for customers. Do you still see them? They know exactly what they are doing. Every Nigerian, we have this wickedness in us that want to profit from everything.
Are you saying every Nigerian?
Most Nigerians, we don't have this conscience that enables us to do what is right. Look at the analogy he gave. Now, the farmer takes his money to the bank. It is understandable because the CBN said no. Much of this money is not within circulation. It is not within our purview. Most of them are out of it. Okay, now all the bank needs to do is to ensure that their point of sales, to ensure that their internet network, that everything is okay. This is the time they need to rigid it. And most importantly, there is something I am pleading with the Central Bank of Nigeria. There should be every day-to-day information updates given to Nigerians. You remember when we had COVID-19, that every day the SGF was giving Nigerians updates of what is happening and the effort of the government to arrest the situation. I think at this point in time, CBN has the Director of Corporate Communication. It is time for him to be on the news every day, from morning to evening, every single day, to begin to tell Nigerians, just as one of the callers said, that in such state we've released a certain amount of money to all the banks. So you go there, if they are not disbursing, give us live report, give us field report. If you are a particular bank and the ATM is not paying, make a call, let us know. So this is a point where the CBN must deploy its communication apparatus to be able to ease the suffering of the citizens.
Sorry, I have to butt in there. Somebody actually talked about punitive measures. Now you have a particular state governor who decided to revoke the land license of a particular bank who refused to disburse cash. Is that a very good way to end up this?
That is a patriotic governor. The only governor who can do this is governor who must have performed. A governor who has failed his people cannot do this.
But then do we have to wait till a governor revokes the land license given to a bank? If the CBN has rolled out a policy and some banks default, don't you think it's a failure on the part of the CBN that they cannot adequately monitor their policy? They cannot adequately monitor the implementation to till the very end.
They're actually doing that. We've seen CBN going to places like Anambra and some states, even Borno. They're doing that. But you know that how many staff does CBN have? In each state of the federation, how many banks branches do we have? How many can they cover? Remember, those CBN are still human beings, they are still Nigerians, they are not saints. They are still even subject.
But you have other ways. You have the National Orientation Agency, you have media houses. Exactly. You don't have to go everywhere.
That is what I'm saying. At this point in time, that what CBN needs to do is to open up daily interaction with Nigerians. They should be giving Nigerians daily updates on the effort they're making to ensure that this money circulates to ordinary citizens. Now,
let's touch on that one. And then also on the Nation's newspaper, I found out it says, I plan for reunion, not forgiveness. That's coming from Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Who is he referring to? Who do you think he's referring to?
Well, before I delve into that, let's talk about the subsequent attack of the presidential candidates of the APC on the person of Mr. President. You remember that it was in Abeokuta that the presidential candidate of APC said Emiloko. It was still in the same Abeokuta that he went back to tell Nigerians that the people that if they like, they should bring ink and put on paper. They should let there be fuel scarcity that you must vote. He told the people of Abeokuta and Nigerians at large to vote them out. Nigerians, you must listen to that plea.
But he didn't categorically say.
No, he said vote them out. Who are they voting out? Is it not the government in power? Nigerians must be patriotic.
No, and I'd like to correct you there. He said either with fear or no fear, with money or no money. If there's no fear, we'll go to the voting venue with our legs and vote. There was no point where he said vote out APC or
no. He didn't mention.
Maybe it's just a misconstrued statement there. But there was no point where he said APC should be voted out.
Well, of course, I agree with you that he never said vote out APC. He never said it. But I can tell you authoritatively, the video is there, but we're not going to argue on your stage. So what I'm trying to say, he said that in Abeokuta. In Cross River State, he still maintained that. He still threw some tirades against Mr. President. He's trying to say that this government are working against him. Nigerians' eyes must be open. God is using him to pass a message to Nigerians. He said, these people are making things difficult. Who are the people making things difficult? He's making a passionate appeal to Nigerians not to stand identified with the people who are making things difficult for Nigerians. It would be very foolish of Nigerians to still go ahead in this coming election and identify and vote in the same people who are making things difficult for them. So can't you understand? The message is very clear.
Well, you just called the Nigerians to stand with President Muhammadu Buhari and the CBN.
Is President Muhammad Buhari, is he running for another election? No, he's not running for an election. He knows
he has a legacy to protect.
That is what he's trying to protect. He has constructed second Niger bridge. He has done what he can. Are you still hearing about Boko Haram? Are you still hearing about?
Of course, about 81 people just died in Katsina in less than 24 hours.
Hold on. The attack, the Boko Haram attack, for some time has been minimal. We know how it used to be. We know what happened in Borno State. We know how many local governments were taken. We must be fair. I am one of the highest critics of Mr. President. But at this point in time, when the man has performed, we must own it up and say, no, give him the credit for that. He has done well in this area, in the other area. The point I am trying to make is this. A presidential candidate comes up and says that some persons are making the Nigerian citizens to suffer. There is fuel scarcity, there is lack of money in circulation, that the party in government is making Nigerians to suffer. Which other message do you need again? Which other message does Nigerians need?
I touched on the other one that says I plan for a reunion and forgiveness. Who do you think that this shot is being thrown at?
I may not be able to say because I have not been privileged to go through the details of the news report. I don't know what the details of the report is. But
so do you agree that most APC governors have decided to turn their back on this supporting their own party?
Let me to be honest with you, if you have watched the video of presidential rallies of the All Progressive Congress, you will see that you will see some of the governors, you see some of the people who are standing with him, they're just being careful. Which other mistake would this man make? I love Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has performed as a governor of Lagos State. He has supported so many people to become what they become today. But the truth of the matter is that he is old, he is tired, he's incoherent in his speeches. He wants to become the president of Nigeria.
Hello, morning.
Good morning.
Am I into KAFTAN TV?
Yes, you are. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Okay, my name is CJ. I'm calling from Aba.
All right. How is about today? Are you sitting at home?
I'm home already. There's nothing we can do in the market. This policy of money scarcity have really damaged all of us. We are doing nothing. Homeless. Even, I don't know how to put it. I know how I managed to collect 3,000 naira yesterday from period to give to my family to feed. And this young man, that Ambassador Tony, he said that there is money in the bank, and the money doesn't refuse to disperse it to the customer. I totally disagree with him. Because if there is money there, and still they have their panels on the ground, why can't pick those managers at the bank? Just pick them up. Another thing is to, whenever you take a panel, follow up with that panel, not to panel on television and radio. You will have at their office.
All right.
Telling yourself. Why the masses on the ground are really suffering? There are people that believe whenever they go out, they will feel what they will eat with their family.
How do they expect them to live? How do they expect us to live now? Our money is not government money. They didn't give us none.
All right, thank you so much.
That money.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution.
Go to various banks. If there is any, I don't know what I don't using the money for another business or what. Let them give us our money.
All right, I'm sure they heard you.
Yeah, I think CBN must do more by sensitizing Nigerians, and most importantly, they need to publish the record. I remember that when Okonjo was the Minister of Finance, he used to publish how much every state received. I think what CBN need to do right now is to publish on the national dailies, publish on their website, publish everywhere, and the amount of money that banks has received. Nigerians are actually suffering. I understand that Nigerians are suffering. I understand that the intention of the president, Mr. President, is good. But beyond the good intention, I want to use this medium to appeal to Central Bank of Nigeria. Every single day, you must come on national television. You must begin to brief Nigerians the effort you are making to ensure that this money circulates. You must be able to engage with Nigerians. Open up your phone lines for the citizens to call. Let them tell you that social bank branch in social place or the other that they are not doing what they should be doing.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Nwachukwu. It's been a wonderful time having this talk with you.
It's been a wonderful time having this talk with you.
All right, viewers, that's where we end this segment of the show. Thank you so much for calling and for tuning in. Let's go straight to social media corner and see what exactly trended yesterday, Saturday, and on Friday. And this one is a particular bank branch. I won't call the name. You have two fighting like we used to call it when we were growing up. Take a look at that video, and when we come back, we'll take more on social media trends. Like they say, the wars of the Nigerian people at the moment, people fighting inside the bank and for their own money.
For their own monies.
That's what we've actually gotten into. All right, the next one is a particular video where they say there's cash in a particular bank, and then you have bank CBN operators who went to some banks and they were able to find cash, but then they were holding the bank. I'm not going to call the name, but you will hear the name of the bank so that you know how to punish them as a customer. Let's take that video.
Yes, I'm currently at Sterling Bank Road, as part of this monitoring compliance with the guidelines by CBN. They have 6 million, which they've collected from the bank for almost 2 weeks. They've not disbursed any. They said they're here to configure their ATM. I do not know why that, and I brought attention to the penalty clause of 1 million per day, because they have 5 ATMs here, and so there's nothing stopping them from keeping. They don't have any reason for keeping this money. The zonal service manager, what's his name again? Tunde Onipede promised that by 10 a.m. latest tomorrow, because I told him by latest 10 a.m. I'll be here, and I want to see this machine dispensing this money. This is what's her name? Olumide Olabi, service manager. Do, and you? Okay, my name is Uwe. I'm a deputy director of CBN, right? Bye. Thank you.
Now, I'm not going to make any comments, but when you watch this last video that says when you have black ants and red ants, and then you have someone who put them together and shook the jar, who is supposed to be blamed? Is it the black ant or the red ant or the person that shook the jar? Let's hear this video from Mike Twain.
If you collect 100 black ants and 100 fire ants and put them in a jar, nothing will happen. But if you take the jar, shake it violently, and leave it on a table, the ants will start killing each other. Red believes the black is the enemy, while black believes the red is the enemy, when the real enemy is the person who shook the jar. The same is true in society. Men versus women, black versus white, faith versus science, young versus old, etc. Before we fight each other, we must ask ourselves, who shook the jar? I'm Mark Twain, also known as Samuel Clemens.
Who shook the jar? I'll leave you with that question to ponder for the rest of the day. And this is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of your favorite newspaper program, The Press, reaching you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN TV. My name is Francis Adeni. Do well to have a very beautiful day ahead of you.
And like Francis asked, who shook the jar, especially in Nigeria? Elites fighting the people, or the people fighting elites? Who exactly is causing the problem? We'll leave you with that food of thoughts. We'll see you again tomorrow. From the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Annabelle Oji. God bless you and yours, and God bless Nigeria.